Welcome to The Briefcase and the Beat.
Welcome back to The Briefcase and the Beat with attorney Jason Marker, founder of Marker Law in Naperville, Illinois. For more than 25 years, Jason has fought for injured workers across Illinois while building a brand that blends music, real stories, and conversations around legal issues that impact everyday people. I'm Evan Mack, and today we're talking about nostalgia, trust, and why some names continue to stand the test of time. Jason, my man, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Evan. Good to be here.
It's interesting. I just recently went to my first World Cup ever, World Cup game ever, in Philadelphia on Saturday. So, and huge soccer fan right now. But what did you ever watch soccer growing up? Because I didn't, and then I moved to Germany to play basketball when the World Cup was going on. Then I fell in love with soccer that way. So I never really watched soccer growing up, but I do watch it more than anything now. What about you?
Yeah, nice, man. Nice. No, yeah, watched soccer a lot. In fact, played a lot of soccer growing up. It's actually a huge part of my life. I played from the time I was probably in first grade all the way through high school up to, 17, 18. When I was younger, I really loved playing forward and like scoring goals. But then as I got older in my career, later in life, I guess, I wasn't as fast as I used to be when I was younger. And so I started playing defense. But listen, I loved everything. I loved everything from playing forward, scoring goals, to defense. I just thought soccer taught you a lot of lessons in life. It's the ultimate team sport. You learn discipline, communication, you got to trust your teammates, understand that everyone's got a role, right?
So have you been enjoying watching this World Cup game, especially since it's in North America, a little bit closer to home?
Absolutely. I love watching the World Cup. In fact, this is one of my favorite times of year. It doesn't happen very often, but just kind of getting into the national vibe of things, watching the U.S., but even watching all the other countries is really enjoyable. It's just really fantastic kind of watching it, and especially being in the United States this year. I love seeing all the energy from the fans when I'm watching on TV, right? The chants, the atmosphere is just contagious, and you really enjoy seeing how other people like celebrate their countries through World Cup.
A sight that I never thought I'd see is Noah and Liam Gallagher getting back together, the great Oasis band that I would love to go see live if I ever had a chance. And you got Wonderwall that's been going viral after World Cup fans started singing it in stadiums all over the U.S. Why do you think that song is suddenly connecting with people again after all these years?
So good question, Evan. As a sports and a music fan, I love seeing how music can kind of transition into the sports realm and be relevant. So let's talk about Wonderwall. Yeah. I really think that song became big because it's bigger than life. Like it was bigger than life when the band wrote it, right? Came out in 95, as many people know. In fact, I recall that very well back in spring break. For me, that was college, Panama City, Florida, when you had MTV and Club La Vila and everything, Evan, okay? But I digress. That's another story. I guess what I mean is that because it's been around so long, like almost everybody knows the chorus. Even people who, weren't born then, they know it now, right? So it's easy to sing. It brings people together. And it's just got that emotional quality where everyone feels like the song means something to them.
What do you think made Oasis such a massive band? Why do you think people still connect with that music, and especially Wonderwall and all the great songs they have, decades later?
So first, the songs. Noah Gallagher wrote melodies that were like simple enough for everyone to sing along to, but powerful enough that they stuck around for decades. And then the lyrics are just simple, and you've got some nice guitar riffs in there. I think people just love that song. But the Gallagher brothers were larger than life. Sometimes they argued and they performed, and then they broke up and everything, got back together, but it was just so popular in the 90s. And speaking of that, like this is really good timing because, as you know, they started going on a world tour last year where they got back together. And I think this is kind of one of the other reasons maybe where Wonderwall and their whole band, Oasis, has kind of exploded because they got back together, have been playing together. Britpop, everybody over there loves it, knows it. But in here in Chicago, even, they came last year. I wasn't able to go, but everybody was talking about it. So all of a sudden you've got that timing with the World Cup and them singing this song, and it's just been amazing.
This episode is themed around nostalgia, but so why do you think certain songs or certain artists make people feel nostalgic so many years later?
Well, I think you just remember them for something, right? Like you remember your first date, graduation, college, road trips, even like difficult moments in your life. Hate to say it, but you remember these things because of music, and music makes you remember them. So years later, a song comes on the radio and you remember the details that you haven't thought about in like decades. So that's the power of music. Pictures remind us what life looked like, but music reminds us what life felt like. And I think that's what I think those fans were experiencing in England when, they won in Dallas. And no matter your age, everyone can sing along to that song because it just felt right. And boom, it's on everybody's radar, Wonderwall again. So
kind of segueing a little bit, kind of switching gears, how important is trust and longevity when someone is choosing a law firm?
I think it's everything, trust and longevity, Evan. When someone hires a lawyer, they're usually going through one of the hardest moments of their lives, at least with what I do with injury work. They're injured. They're worrying about paying their bills. They're worried about getting through their medical care. So they've never been through this kind of thing before. And so, yes, results matter, of course, and we want to get great results. But what matters even more is communication and just listening and explaining the process and getting all the way to the end where we can get them those best results and get through it well. And what that means really is experience matters. And experience helps build trust because you can talk to people about the fact that you've been there, done that. I know this judge, I've had the trial before. Trust me, we've got you.
So what do you focus on personally when it comes to building trust with your clients?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So for me, it starts with communication, like I mentioned. And one of the biggest complaints that I ever hear from people about lawyers, right, when I'm talking to just folks on the street, is that they can't get a return phone call or even get their attorney to explain anything to them. They don't feel like the attorney's giving them any time. So I don't believe in that. I never want a client feeling like they're just another file sitting on my desk. I want them to feel like family. And I tell them that when they leave and I give them their check, right? I want them to know what's happening all the way through the case and what comes next. So I also try to be honest from day one. I think that's huge. Sometimes, again, attorneys don't really tell you the truth. And it might mean saying, hey, I don't know yet, or this case is going to take a while, or we got to work through some things that are hard. But that's part of the process. And I think if you're honest with people and tell them that as you're going through it, they trust you more. And that's what that process leads to. So the hardest part about my job is telling people that they've got to wait or suffer to get the justice they deserve. In other words, we can get you a settlement at the end of this thing, but there's all kinds of tactics. Courts are delayed, things that make this all take a long time. And that process is painful to get through. And sometimes that's the hardest part about this.
What are some of the ways you stay connected with past clients and continue building that trust in your local community?
I try to do a few things. I try to do things both in person and on social media nowadays. I think one of the biggest reasons that I started making TikToks or Instagram social media posts was because I wanted to educate people. Most people don't need a personal injury lawyer like every day, right? Of course. You don't need an attorney like me until a tragedy hits, but people could have questions. A family member could get hurt, right? Or a friend or a coworker can get hurt and wonder, what should I do about this? So if they remember watching one of your videos and they think, hey, Jason explained that really well, or I like what he's talking about, he seems like a good guy, then that's going to start building trust with folks. So that's partly why I do that. In addition to all of the social media, though, we do client appreciation nights. I mean, I have probably once a year where I have clients come back to my office. We have some food, just enjoy each other. And like I said, I really try to have my clients feel like they are family. They can keep coming back to me. There's an email list that I send out where I have contact with them all the time and I get a lot of responses back. So it is just about building that trust with them. Also in the community, my firm does a lot with local charities. We give back to our community and every year kind of contribute to one. We've contributed back to an autistic foundation here called Turning Point in Naperville Little League, which was just big for me because both my boys grew up playing baseball here. All kinds of things. So that's really big for us to really have roots in our community. My wife and I also foster dogs. We do a lot of dog fostering through Midwest Lab Rescue, which is a local community. So doing all those kind of things in the community also is an important way for me to build trust. I don't want people at the end of the day to look at me like some lawyer who is a slime ball like you can think of. I want them to know what I stand for. And that's why all the community involvement is good. I know that people see folks on billboards, and I don't want to be known as that sleazy guy who's just looking for your money. I want you to be a guy who you can trust to call because a horrible incident happens and you need help, and I can help you.
So with that being said, all the things that you represent and, from a musical perspective, from your clients and how much respect that you show them, let's just get back to a little bit of soccer there, Jason. How do you think the U.S. will do in the World Cup? We have them in their first knockout round. I think the biggest match in U.S. men's soccer history is on Wednesday. So how do you think they do?
So Evan, I like where the team is headed. I mean, they're really talented. They're athletic. They're playing on home soil, right? So that gives them a huge advantage. They've already shown that they can compete, advancing to, this knockout stage after winning their group. So I'm just really excited to see where they can go. I think the lineup is really kind of fun and stacked right now. They're not favorites to win it all, but they could certainly make a memorable run. I really believe they could. And the beauty about World Cup is that sometimes one great save or one great goal, one great magical night can change everything and keep you going, right? The other cool thing about Team USA right now is that we finally got some household names if you're a soccer fan. You've got Christian Pulisic, one of the biggest stars. He's kind of like our version of a quarterback that everybody knows right now in the U.S., right? Then you've got Weston McKennie, who's bringing up the energy in the midfield. You've got Gino Reyna with incredible creativity, and then Sergio Dest, who's playing defense, but also like flying down the wing to help on scoring chances. So for the first time, we've got a roster full of players that's competing in a lot of the biggest clubs in Europe. And I really think that's why expectations are a little higher for them and why I'm so excited to keep watching them this year.
It's good stuff, Jason. We can always talk soccer. We can always talk music. We can do, it's been a good time, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, likewise. So I'm Jason Marker. I want to thank you all out there for listening to this episode of The Briefcase and the Beat, where music meets law. Go watch some soccer and see some live music.
And if you'd like to learn more about Jason and the work his team does for injured workers across Illinois, visit marker-law.com. They always offer a free consultation, and you can call them at 331-INJURED. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and join us next time for more conversations connecting music, real stories, and the legal issues that impact everyday people. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.